on behalf of the constituents of North East St Andrew, serving as their Member of Parliament for 23 plus years. Mr. Prime Minister, I extend heartfelt gratitude to you for your continued confidence in my ability to captain the reform efforts within the justice sector. To my hard-working team at the Justice Ministry, I extend wholehearted appreciation. I would like to especially thank Mrs. Sancia Bennett-Templer, who served as Permanent Secretary for 2 productive years. I also take this opportunity to officially welcome Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane into her new post as Acting Permanent Secretary, after serving as a bastion of expertise in the ministry for over 4 years. I am grateful, Madam Speaker, for a team that has displayed composure and innovation in a very difficult period for our nation. As a result of their work, Madam Speaker, Jamaicans continued to receive sterling justice services even in one of the most difficult periods experienced by modern society. I can only add, Madam Speaker, that the best is yet to come. I also thank, Madam Speaker, the Chief Justice, Honourable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, other members of the Judiciary, and the staff of the Court Administration Division for their commitment to the improvement of the justice sector. I am confident, Madam Speaker, that with our continued partnership, it will take us gradually and closer to realizing our shared goal of elevating our justice system to the best in the Caribbean and one of the best in the world. The judiciary and the court system, Madam Speaker, have my full support as we work together to create a first-class justice system. Madam Speaker, may I give special thanks to the President of the Court of Appeal, the Honourable Mr. Justice Patrick Brooks, and also to the Honourable Dennis Morrison, who retired as President in December 2020. To the appeal judges and the Court of Appeal staff, to the Attorney General, Mrs. Marlene Malalou Fort, Solicitor General, Mrs. Marlene Aldred, and the staff of the Attorney General's Chambers, Director of Public Prosecutions, Ms. Paula Llewellyn and her staff, the Director Court Administration Division, Mrs. Tricia Cameron Anglin and her staff, for their sterling contribution to the advancement of the work of the courts and the justice system. Special thanks also to the various affiliated agencies and departments of the Justice Ministry, including the Administrator General, Mrs. Lorna Brown and her staff, for protecting the interests of minors, creditors and beneficiaries of estates, to the Chief Parliamentary Counsel, Ms. Judith Grant and her staff, the Acting Director of Legal Reform, Ms. Nadine Wilkins and her staff, for contributing to the development of a robust legislative framework. In the same vein, Madam Speaker, I express thanks to Mr. Maurice Bailey, former Director of that unit, who, after tenure marked by professional acuity and commitment, proceeded on retirement leave. I must extend gratitude also, Madam Speaker, to one particular group of stakeholders whose impact on the justice sector cannot be measured, our donor partners. With their support, we have been able to execute plans and strategies in support of the Justice Reform Programme, including the improvement of the built environment of the justice sector. Special thanks to the delegation of the European Union to Jamaica, Global Affairs Canada, the United States Agency for International Development, the Inter-American Development Bank, the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Section in the United States Embassy, the Department of International Development, DFID, the United Nations Development Programme, National Integrity Action, the Citizen Security and Justice Programme, and the United Nations Children's Fund for their continued support of justice sector strategic objectives. To my CPO, Close Protection Officer Sergeant Howard Hamilton, and my driver, O'Neill Ennis, I send heartfelt thanks. I also express my gratitude, Madam Speaker, to my two councillors, Deputy Mayor Winston Ennis and Councillor Joy Cottrell, and constituency support staff who assisted in ensuring a 6th consecutive term as Member of Parliament. And finally, Madam Speaker, I owe a debt of gratitude to my wife, Patricia, and all our family members for being constantly at my side as I execute my duties as Minister of Justice and Member of Parliament. My heartfelt thanks to you all. Madam Speaker, I begin my presentation, as usual, with a report on our courts. Firstly, I underscore that I cannot and do not interfere with the judiciary in its management, decision-making, and operations. So my presentation will focus on what is expected from the judiciary and how the Ministry of Justice provides support and resources to achieve agreed objectives. I start by extending heartfelt commendation to the Chief Justice and his team for their achievements over this past year. Of note, Madam Speaker, is how the judiciary quickly adjusted to the exigencies arising from the pandemic, and in this regard, I am pleased to highlight that during the last fiscal year, the High Courts began hearing matters electronically. All hearings from the Court of Appeal are now conducted electronically using video and teleconferences. And at the Supreme Court, bail hearings and mentioned matters were moved into the virtual space. This allowed for adherence to the necessary distancing protocols and resulted in greater convenience for court users and more efficient use of court resources. Actual performance statistics, Madam Speaker, for the year indicate as follows. In the Court of Appeal, approximately 68% of judgments were delivered within 6 months of being reserved. The clearance rate in that court is 81%, an increase of 11% over 2019. That is 81 cases from every 100 reserved. In 2020, the Supreme Court delivered 234 judgments for every 100 reserved. If the trajectory holds, Madam Speaker, with current trends, during this fiscal year, the Supreme Court is expected to deliver 1.5 times the number of judgments being reserved. And by the end of this fiscal year, it is expected that over 90% of judgments outstanding will be current. We project, Madam Speaker, that no more than 10% of judgments will be outstanding for more than 6 months. Based on current trends, Madam Speaker, by the end of 21-22 fiscal year, upwards of 75% of judgments will be delivered within 6 months. Sure, Madam Speaker, there is progress, but the norm, and that is the Chief Justice's, my indication to the judges, should be for judgments to be delivered within 6 months. It should only be in exceptional cases that judgments should be delayed beyond 6 months. In truth, Madam Speaker, we are getting there. We have not reached there, but we expect by the end of this fiscal year that will be the occasion and the performance of the courts. Madam Speaker, I would also like to address the matter of net case backlog. That is the proportion of active cases that are over 2 years old. This has been a continuous source of discontent, and its reduction is one of the strategic objectives for the Justice Ministry. I know the Chief Justice and the Judiciary have paid particular attention to this matter, and they have been making impressive strides in this regard. The Gun Court is expected to be current with its active cases by December 2021. That's this year, Madam Speaker. By the end of the current fiscal year, less than 10% of the active cases in the civil division of the parish courts will be in backlog. Since 2016, Madam Speaker, when we began collecting data, 83.77% of criminal cases were disposed of under 12 months. Approximately 88% of cases were disposed of under 24 months and only 12% in more than 24 months. In 2020, the overall clearance rate for criminal cases in the parish courts was 96.47%. 7 of 13 parish courts had a clearance rate of more than 90%, and the hearing date certainty was 84%. This means that over 95% of cases, Madam Speaker, will be resolved in a timely manner. Madam Speaker, the overall net case backlog for the parish courts is now under 2.64%, placing us well within the international best practice guideline of under 5%. Madam Speaker, this is the best position the parish courts have been in recorded history. The Home Circuit Court has seen a clearance rate of over 70% during the last 2 years. This means that matters are moving faster in the Home Circuit Court than in previous years. Once again, Madam Speaker, this is the best position that this court has been in recorded history. Madam Speaker, we are making commendable strides on our way to meet the Chief Justice's goal to have a justice system that is among the best in the Caribbean and the world. However, Madam Speaker, we need to even do better with the few remaining cases of backlog. The Ministry would like to see definitive timelines for various processes in the courts. I believe that no matter in the parish courts should extend from filing to completion beyond 24 months. And I expect that 90% of these cases should be completed within 12 months. We're getting there, Madam Speaker, and I hope it is achieved in this fiscal year. In the Supreme Court, Madam Speaker, no trial matter should remain there longer than 3 years, and certainly 75% of the matters should be completed within 2 years. Uncontested divorce, Madam Speaker, that used to take years, should be completed within 6 months. And probate and administration of estates, which used to take years, Madam Speaker, should also be completed within 4 months. Madam Speaker, 3 years ago, I indicated in one of my presentations that there was a probate that was just finalized after 36 years. I think members will recall that. Well, I'm saying, Madam Speaker, that most matters are now being completed on time, and we expect that in this fiscal year, divorces, probate and administration of estates will be completed within months. As you would realize, Madam Speaker, from the actual performance data shared, targets are now being achieved in some cases. But it is, Madam Speaker, the isolated circumstances that receive attention from the public and the media to which we must pay attention. Whilst we see the enormous improvements in the courts and see even greater improvements forthcoming, we cannot ignore the frustration of litigants and the members of the public when a few cases are highlighted that seem to undermine how well the court is actually functioning. When bail, Madam Speaker, is granted to individuals charged with murder and other serious offences, some members of the public question how bail could be granted to those individuals. In fact, Madam Speaker, many of these accused individuals actually continue to commit crimes while on bail. The judiciary, Madam Speaker, should be aware that the police are very critical of the decision to grant bail, and perhaps an explanation should be given when bail is actually granted, so the prosecution can appeal if necessary. By the same token, Madam Speaker, when a decision is refused, an explanation can be given so the defense can appeal. So, Madam Speaker, what one is saying is that when bail is granted, a simple explanation from the judge is usually useful because, Madam Speaker, it could well be that the file has been sitting, cannot be completed for years, a year, 18 months, and what is on file doesn't show a very strong case against the accused. It may well be an issue of illegal possession of firearm, and there's no certificate from the forensic lab, and therefore without the certificate, the case can't go forward. And it is just unfair to keep the accused there months after months, mention day after mention day. And in those circumstances, the judge really has very little choice but to grant bail. And in those circumstances, Madam Speaker, it is necessary for the various agencies of government, be it the forensic lab, be it the medical doctor, be it the police, that all of these work in partnership so that case files can be completed and presented so that cases can be dealt with in a timely manner. Again, Madam Speaker, when sentences are lenient or out of the established sentencing range, the public is also alarmed at the inadequacy of the sentence. It was with this in mind that I recently tabled 2 bills aimed at giving the prosecution right of appeal against certain judgments of the court, including appeals against a lenient sentence. This is a timely and game-changing development, Madam Speaker, as these amendments will bring us in line with members of the Commonwealth, like Barbados, Bermuda, and the United Kingdom, in balancing the interests of justice. Additionally, Madam Speaker, the Legal Reform Department of the Ministry has started working with the Ministries of Government to update relevant penalties to allow for more realistic sentences in line with the rule of law and international best practices. These will then be brought to Parliament for consideration and time allowed for the public to weigh in on the proposals. Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, the executive and the country are looking to the judiciary to play a significant role in sending the clearest signals to criminals that crime has severe detrimental consequences. This can be accomplished, Madam Speaker, by timely trials, strong pronouncements from the bench, and in appropriate cases, harsh sentences that send a powerful message and an emphatic denunciation of criminal activities. Madam Speaker, for murder and all serious crimes, life imprisonment is the penalty. And there is no doubt, Madam Speaker, no case is the same as another. And in some cases, Madam Speaker, when the person pleads guilty, there can be concession in terms of some years taken off, and the reduction of sentences is quite appropriate in many of these cases. But, Madam Speaker, where the crime, be it murder or other serious offences, is so gross, so gruesome, whether or not the offender pleads guilty, the court should send a salutary message, the strongest message possible, that that individual, when he is sent to jail, won't see outside again. And what this means, Madam Speaker, and I urge the court to bear it in mind, not in all cases, please, but in those cases where you have grievous, egregious wrongs, that the signal should be sent of not only life imprisonment, but sentence without parole, or sentences after 60 years of imprisonment, so that if they come out at all, Madam Speaker, it is to spend the last few years before they depart this earth. Because, Madam Speaker, it is very important, and this Parliament is saying it to the judges, for gruesome crimes, for murders that are so gross, the proper signal must be sent to would-be and potential criminals. And so, Madam Speaker, while in the vast majority of cases, There will be grounds for reduction of sentence when the person pleads guilty, and there will be cases for negotiation of sentence. We are talking about those cases, Madam Speaker, small minority admittedly in many cases. They must be used as example to send a message to the public and to those who don't want to be friends of this society. Madam Speaker, as you have already heard, the government of Jamaica is now working assiduously towards completing the framework to connect all parish capitals with broadband connectivity within the next 6 months or so. Hopefully within the next few years, Madam Speaker, improved and efficient broadband capacity should be available across most of Jamaica. As we move closer to our vision of a justice system that offers first-class services, the Ministry of Justice has been giving ongoing support to the courts, equipping them with the modern infrastructure and the technology necessary to conduct business efficiently. With the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, we decided to accelerate the pace at which we rolled out our programs in this respect. We have installed state-of-the-art technology in at least one court in each parish to enable virtual hearings. Through improved technology, we continued court hearings throughout the pandemic year, and matters are being disposed of at an impressive pace. Through improved technology, Madam Speaker, vulnerable witnesses can now testify in complete anonymity from 2 mobile units, which have been retrofitted with audio-visual equipment and a wheelchair lift, as well as space to facilitate a stretcher. Through improved technology, Madam Speaker, jury selection, case flow and docketing management, case scheduling and digital recording will be enhanced through Judicial Case Management System, the JCMS, which was installed in the last financial year and is now being customized for pilot in this month, 2021. Madam Speaker, when the Ministry of Justice says it is facilitating access to justice for all, this is what it looks like. Madam Speaker, we want to work with the Chief Justice, the Court Administration Division, the Commissioner of Police and the Ministry of National Security, so that in each police station or prison there can be a witness room where accused persons who are not on trial can attend for their bail hearing or mention date. Additionally, witnesses and accused individuals who have difficulty attending court due to their physical location can connect by Zoom or a similar platform, along with an independent person to ensure that they are not being coached or influenced to give evidence. My vision, Madam Speaker, is to have all court matters dealt with virtually, and only those who want to be in court need to be present. Cases can be tried with only the presiding judge and registrar present. Attorneys can decide whether they prefer to operate from their chambers or, in the case of the Director of Public Prosecutions, from the comfort of her office or even from her home. Going forward, Madam Speaker, we expect that more courts will use technology to deal with mentioned matters, bail applications, and ultimately trial matters. Madam Speaker, what this will translate to is an enormous saving for the public purse, less wear and tear on government vehicles and other resources, less engagement by police personnel to transport accused and witnesses to courts, and cost savings to all who participate in court hearings. So, Madam Speaker, what one is saying is that, hopefully within months, not years, that cases can be dealt with where a witness in the hills close to a police station can actually go to the police station and give evidence at the police station without having to travel 10 or 20 miles to the parish court in order to give evidence. Moreover, Madam Speaker, witnesses could also, from remote locations, be it the mobile units that we are providing at the Ministry of Justice, or even at the police station, or even abroad, Madam Speaker, can give evidence and the cases can be tried virtually. This will be an enormous amount of savings, Madam Speaker, if you hear the police vans taking prisoners from 100-man station, GP, district prison every morning. There should be no need for this, Madam Speaker. the accused can actually sit in a witness box in the police station or the prison and participate in the trial. In the vast majority of cases, there will be cases, Madam Speaker, that it will be necessary for the accused to be in court, especially for jury trials. But in general, Madam Speaker, I look forward to the day when these trials are virtual, and I hope it will be soon, Madam Speaker. Another vision, Madam Speaker, that I have for the courts is that they will soon become paperless. I previously made the pledge, and the Ministry of Justice remains committed to this objective, where all documents will eventually be filed online and stored digitally. This, Madam Speaker, will free up hundreds of thousands of square footages across the court complexes. Any one of us who have had the opportunity to visit a court complex will see 1, 2, 3 big rooms, some of them as big as this Parliament, Madam Speaker, storing documents. I dare say, Madam Speaker, if we could clear all of the space and put them digitally, the amount of space that will be opened up in the court complexes would be enormous. And that includes the Supreme Court, Madam Speaker, where huge numbers of files are storing documents, and all of these need to be digitized. So, Madam Speaker, with a paperless court and virtual court hearings and actual reality, we may need to look how we use court space and, in fact, Madam Speaker, how we build new courts, because less space will be required. Madam Speaker, court efficiency, easy access to justice services, and the timely delivery of justice are the hallmarks of a first-class justice system. We have taken the first steps towards these objectives, but much more needs to be done. In the Court of Appeal, Madam Speaker, we have now provided first-class facilities and a full complement of 12 Court of Appeal judges plus the President. It means, Madam Speaker, that on a regular basis, at least 3 panels can sit. Madam Speaker, we have a major problem with transcript and with appeal cases. The truth of the matter, Madam Speaker, is that more cases are actually going to the appeal court than are actually being disposed of. And this is a great cause, Madam Speaker, for concern, because in 2019, Madam Speaker, we had 221 cases filed, 179 disposed of. In 2019, 276, and 2020, 221 new cases filed, and in 2019, appeals disposed of 193, while 276 new cases filed. In 2020, 221 filed, 179 disposed of. It means, Madam Speaker, that more appeals are piling up in the appeal courts. But now, Madam Speaker, with 12 appeal court judges plus the President, an increase from 6 appeal court judges plus the President, I hope that we will now start, Madam Speaker, to see a greater disposal of cases at that level. One of the major problems, Madam Speaker, is the transcript, which takes forever to actually reach the appeal courts. We have now cases, Madam Speaker, which is in the press and which will come out again and again, where persons have appealed. And having appealed, especially in criminal cases, they have been waiting in custody for 6, 8, as long as 10 years. And their transcript is not ready. So you can't blame the appeal courts, Madam Speaker. You have to blame what has happened to those transcripts. And, Madam Speaker, the Chief Justice is aware of the problem. We have brought it to his attention, and I know that he's doing something about it, but much more needs to be done for these transcripts to be brought up to date so that these cases can be disposed of in a timely manner. In truth, Madam Speaker, the Court of Appeal in 2019 had 1,817 pending cases, and in 2020, 1,859. But half of these cases are actually awaiting transcript. But still, Madam Speaker, half of them, 900 of them, still need to be disposed of in a timely manner. And Madam Speaker, my great hope as a timeline is that no appeal from the appeal is lodged should last more than 18 months. This is not now possible with the backlog of cases, Madam Speaker. But the truth is that better methods will have to be dealt with by the President of the Court of Appeal. And I would like to urge the President of the Court of Appeal is to start looking at how, instead of disposing of hundreds of 200 cases, how can we dispose of 400 or 600 cases over the next few years? And I have a formula to give him, Madam Speaker. The truth of the matter, Madam Speaker, is that when cases go on appeal, there's no reason why they should take days and weeks for trial. I would urge the President to send out a practice direction to all the attorneys in appeal cases to have a summary of the facts, support of the grounds of appeal, a comprehensive arguments in support, and, Madam Speaker, that each side should be able to present his or her case within an hour. Madam Speaker, I practice in the Court of Appeal, and if you don't have a good case within an hour, you can forget it. The likelihood is that you won't be successful. And I can say, Madam Speaker, as one who has been successful in the Court of Appeal, the average time I spend on any case is less than half an hour. Yes. Because I get straight to the point. And when you get straight to the point, you get the judges right away, and the judges just ask the other side, what are your arguments against? Absolutely. And so, Madam Speaker, I would urge the Court of Appeal to streamline the present practice, because we need to get these appeals out quicker. And while more transcript will be coming, Madam Speaker, and more appeals will be coming, at the Court of Appeal level, we expect that the backlog will be significantly reduced. Madam Speaker, the main area of efficiency that we must look at is how can we get the cases dealt with quickly. And the way, Madam Speaker, is if you have a trial in the civil court now, Madam Speaker, it is now been set not for 2021, nor 22, nor 24, nor 26. Cases are now being set for 2027. Yes. Now, Madam Speaker, any case that is now being set for 2027, by the time it is tried, the witness can't tell the true facts. I think they will be fantasizing. And I say, Madam Speaker, the only alternative is that we have to look at ways and means. Lawyers in this country will have to persuade litigants that they have to use alternative dispute resolutions. In other words, Madam Speaker, mediate rather than litigate. And those cases that are present in the courts and are now being referred to mediation, make your best effort to settle these cases, because mediation is a win-win situation. When you wait till 2025, 2026, or 2027, it's not a win-lose. It is a lose-lose situation by the time you get there. So I would urge, Madam Speaker, litigants and attorneys to really look at how they can take most of these cases from the litigation in the courts and try to mediate. And, Madam Speaker, the government will be doing its very best to ramp up mediation, not only in the Supreme Court, but also in the parish courts, because it is urgent that in the parish courts we get all the civil cases to be referred for mediation, and in the criminal cases, in the Supreme and parish courts for criminal cases, we need to use more restorative justice, justice that heals, rather than trying to get these persons as best as possible, trying to ramp up and go through a long trial, if they can be encouraged to plead guilty and also to make up with their victims in appropriate cases, Madam Speaker, a lot of these cases can be dealt with. So, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Justice will be going to Cabinet shortly to put a paper and a strategy for alternative dispute resolution across not only the courts, but across Jamaica. In truth, our people need to resolve disputes, disagreements, difficulties in a more appropriate reconciliatory manner, rather than feel that if they don't get the last lick, they can't succeed. They have to find ways and means, Madam Speaker, to see how they can really pull things together and reconcile as best as possible. So, Madam Speaker, restorative justice has been a major success across the parishes. We have a restorative justice centre in every parish. We now have 18 restorative justice centres, Madam Speaker, and the success of restorative justice practice is really overwhelming. In 2020-21 fiscal year, Madam Speaker, 18,000 Jamaicans participated in restorative justice conferences. And 1960 cases which came into our centres, 1,804 of them were successfully resolved. Colleague members of Parliament, this represents a 92% success rate. Madam Speaker, we are now taking it into the correctional services, and we see great success to heal the offenders, the accused, who are now in custody in prison, to make up with many of the victims and families that have abandoned them. And this is a success story, Madam Speaker. Another year of great success, Madam Speaker, is child diversion. Child diversion, Madam Speaker, is the process of implementing measures for dealing with children who are alleged, accused of, or recognized of having infringed a penal law without resorting to formal judicial proceedings. The Justice Ministry, Madam Speaker, established this method of intervention to rehabilitate children who have committed a diversion offence, reduce the number of children exposed to the criminal justice system, and empower communities to re-socialize child offenders. Madam Speaker, the programme officially commenced operation in April 2020, approximately 1 year ago. I am pleased to announce, Madam Speaker, that since its implementation, 305 Jamaican children between the ages of 12 to 17 years have been referred to the programme. This means, Madam Speaker, that 305 at-risk children have been given a second chance. 305 children who might have otherwise ended up in the penal system are being rehabilitated into their families and communities. 305 children, Madam Speaker, who might otherwise have become more deeply immersed into a life of delinquency and violence are being nurtured towards becoming productive, well-adjusted citizens. Madam Speaker, I express appreciation to members of the community who have partnered with us to deliver this programme. We are engaging, Madam Speaker, police officers, guidance counsellors, probation aftercare officers, child protection and family services staff, and other stakeholders. In the current fiscal year, Madam Speaker, we will continue our training and sensitization sessions as our objective is to increase our capacity to reach even more Jamaican youth before they transition into a life of crime. Madam Speaker, one of, if I might say, a secret, because it is not well known, that is provided by the Ministry of Justice, is the victim services or assistance and support that we give to victims of crime. And Madam Speaker, so many counselling, over 200,000 victims since 1998 have been counselled by the Victim Services Division. And last year, Madam Speaker, we assisted over 5,590 new clients and assisted 7,867 follow-up clients and gave support to 2,407 child victims with trauma and grief therapy support. Madam Speaker, the truth is that we are now moving even further by using e-counseling, where we do video conferences and do virtual meetings and real-time therapy and consultations. And we hope, Madam Speaker, to improve and expand on that service, because there are so many victims, Madam Speaker, of crimes who have been traumatized and need further assistance. So, Madam Speaker, when the Ministry of Justice says that it is facilitating access to justice for all, this is what it looks like. Madam Speaker, there's an area that I have given a lot of attention to, and that is the training and empowerment of justices of the peace, and also to increase the number of notary public. In truth, Madam Speaker, we have trained many more justices of the peace. We have urged outstanding Jamaicans of unquestionable integrity to become a justice of the peace, and through the Justice Training Institute, we have been able to assist and train new persons to become JPs, but also, Madam Speaker, to assist the outstanding justices of the peace to improve their knowledge, information, and for them to be better able to assist their communities. Madam Speaker, the JPs are playing an outstanding role, not only as lay magistrates, but they are doing, many of them are restorative justice facilitators, child diversion officers, but they are also, Madam Speaker, playing their part as a justice of the peace. And all justices of the peace now, Madam Speaker, are no longer a justice of the peace for the parish. Once they are commissioned, they are a justice of the peace for the island. So you are justice of the peace for Jamaica. And so the seals, Madam Speaker, some may still have the parish, but all new seals will say justice of the peace for the Jamaica. And this will, over time, Madam Speaker, be changed out. Madam Speaker, as I speak to justice of the peace virtually every week, the emphasis I say to them, as a justice of the peace, not only are you a volunteer, you must not act in any way inappropriately, but you must remember your name, Justice of the Peace. So you must provide justice in your community, and you must secure and keep the peace in your communities. And that, Madam Speaker, is what we hope to really empower them to do, to provide justice services and to secure and maintain the peace. Madam Speaker, another area of great concern, critical justice service, is in delivering to Jamaicans expungement of certain criminal convictions for those who meet the qualifying requirements. Madam Speaker, I hope to take to Cabinet and to Parliament shortly an expansion of expungement cases. Madam Speaker, there are so many cases which cry out for expungement, but because they're in the third schedule of the Act, cannot be expunged. I can give you hundreds of cases, Madam Speaker, that are turned down because, yes, they're serious. At the time, they were committed. And these persons have got long sentences, 10 years sometimes and more. But, Madam Speaker, they have returned to their community. They have lived fairly upright life for 15, 20 and more years. And now they would like their sentence to be expunged. And I say, Madam Speaker, if they have served their time, paid their due, and after 10 years or 15 or 20 years, Madam Speaker, I think the opportunity should be given to them for their sentence to be expunged. And, Madam Speaker, I will be taking this matter to Cabinet shortly, and thereafter I will bring it to Parliament for us to examine it, because, yes, we must be careful. Yes, we must make sure that when we expunge a record, that individual has demonstrated that they have given up on crime and that they will continue to lead a decent life. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice also provided marriage licenses. Even during the pandemic last year, Madam Speaker, we had 1,195 marriage licenses, and there were over 3,000 walk-in applications. And they were provided and approved within 24 hours, Madam Speaker. the Ministry of Justice, through that avenue, provided $16.8 million to government income from this service.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the member be allowed an additional 15 minutes to complete his presentation.
The question before the House is that the member be allowed an additional 15 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and also to the members of the House for the additional time. I will not breach that trust. I will try and finish up within this 15 minutes. Madam Speaker, we are now improving the justice environment. And one of the areas, Madam Speaker, we intend is to put in place proper justice facilities. Madam Speaker, all the courts, most justice facilities got some attention over the past few years. But Madam Speaker, my great regret is that we have not yet started to build the parish court complexes that we had hoped would have started. But we hope, Madam Speaker, that the Manchester court can be started, if not within the next 12 to 18 months. And we are also trying to get St. Anne, Trelawney, St. Catherine, St. James to be shovel-ready, so that when the funds are ready, we can immediately implement them. And I know, Madam Speaker, that the member from in front of me, Maypen, up to today, I spoke to the Minister of Finance whether we can put that in place, and we are hoping that later this year, because everything has now been worked out, member from Maypen, and we are hoping that later this year we can actually start the program. But everything is in place, and so we hope that will happen. Madam Speaker, the justice centres across the island are being improved, all the justice facilities. And Madam Speaker, since I've been Minister of Justice, what I can tell you, you don't hear of courts being breaking down. And the reason, Madam Speaker, is that we ensure that the facilities are maintained. And Madam Speaker, every May, including the beginning of yesterday, I asked the Court Administration Division to confirm that every air-conditioned elevator, other electronic equipment have been maintained or serviced since the beginning of the year, because the summer period is coming up. And it's heat in the courts. And if any air condition breaks down, the court will have to be locked down. But what I can say for the last 2 years, and I hope this year, that no court will break down because any equipment has broken down. The truth, Madam Speaker, is that maintenance is a very important part of court efficiency. Things must be maintained, and I hate to use a few minutes to make this point, Madam Speaker. I'm trying to tell the court staff, you need to maintain everything. I go down and put in brand new elevators at the Supreme Court, Madam Speaker. After a year and a half, I went down there. I say to one of the property managers, when last have you maintained this this elevator? And he looked at me, Madam Speaker, and said, but in a breakdown yet, sir. And this is the problem in this country, Madam Speaker. We maintain nothing. We wait until they break down. And it's necessary not only in the courts, but across all justice sector, all sectors of the government building. We need to maintain everything so that they can last. Madam Speaker, I need to touch on a few other agencies before time runs out. The Administrator General's Department, Madam Speaker, is one of the shining departments of the Ministry of Justice. During the course of the last year, they closed 434 estates and transferred all the assets to the beneficiaries, exceeding their target of 400. 350 new estate cases came to the department. And Madam Speaker, they are working efficiently and expect to close over 800 estates this year, and I certainly hope that that will be done. Madam Speaker, the Legal Aid Council is doing yeoman service in ensuring that persons who need legal assistance, legal aid as they call it, actually get legal aid. And Madam Speaker, this is one minister who can say that every legal aid attorney or every attorney doing legal aid, that they get their money. We don't owe anybody any. This minister ensure that the debts are paid. Every February, Madam Speaker, for the last 3 years, I've been looking at the ministry's financial area and say, what money you have there, let us make sure we don't finish the financial year without our debts being paid. So I can tell you, Madam Speaker, we don't owe any judgment debt. We pay them up. And Madam Speaker, around February, March, we have to be begging the contractors, send in your certificate, because we have money. And Madam Speaker, this is how this minister intends to operate, make persons feel confident that they can deal with the Ministry of Justice. Madam Speaker, the Office of the Public Prosecution have contributed significantly to the Ministry's mandate of protecting the constitutional rights and freedoms of our citizens. The DPP and our team were able to dispose of more than 1,200 cases across the various circuit and gun courts island-wide, adding to their excellent track record of delivering effective and just prosecutions in criminal proceedings. In November 2020, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution partnered with the Jamaica Constabulary Force to launch a training video entitled Digital Police in Criminal Investigations in the Technological Era, that explores the 3 investigative tools available to the police under the Cyber Crimes Act. This training tool, Madam Speaker, will assist them to gather computer material for any criminal offence and enhance their capacity to use their investigative powers under the Act. Madam Speaker, the DPP and the JCF are working very closely and in partnership to ensure that cases are dealt with expeditiously. I would like to thank, Madam Speaker, the United Kingdom Department of International Development, DFID, for providing the justice system with more funding to support and strengthen our prosecutorial services. Madam Speaker, it is now and should be known that all the clerk of courts will be brought under the DPP. In other words, the prosecution in the parish courts, the clerk of courts will now be prosecutors, not clerk of court. So they will probably be known as Assistant Crown Counsel, and they will come under the jurisdiction of the DPP and no longer under the parish court judge. And they basically, Madam Speaker, with the help of DFID, who is providing the consultant to make sure that is done, we can get better efficiency in completing prosecution in the parish courts. Madam Speaker, there's one area which I urge the DPP to address, and that is the question of plea agreement and negotiations. The truth of the matter, Madam Speaker, is that once a file is completed and ready for trial, as is the practice in the United States, where some 90% of cases are completed by plea bargaining, the prosecution should engage defense attorneys to bargain the completion of the case by a lesser charge and/or a lower sentence. Naturally, Madam Speaker, for serious matters, the sentence has to be within the normal range and at the higher level, as I pointed out earlier, taking note that both charge and sentence would have to be approved by the presiding judge. Madam Speaker, the Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act is one which I think is not being fully utilized, and I am urging prosecutors to give more attention to plea bargaining to reduce the backlog in the courts. Madam Speaker, this leads me to return again to the matter of sentences. I have heard a cry for people that some of the sentences being imposed for certain offences are mere slaps on the wrist of criminal offenders, given the serious nature of their crimes. However, Madam Speaker, I strongly believe that after a guilty verdict, there should be a sentence hearing, where the sentencing judge hears presentations from both the prosecution and defense attorneys before imposing sentence. Regrettably, Madam Speaker, in most cases, it's only the defense attorneys who make a plea. But I do believe that the concerns and feelings of the victims and the families of the victims should also be taken into consideration by the trial judge before sentence is imposed. Because if that is not done, Madam Speaker, the right of appeal, which we will be coming to with shortly, will be utilized too much. So it's important that both the prosecution and the defense make their presentation and the judge so decide. Madam Speaker, the area that the Ministry of Justice is responsible for is legislation. And in truth, Madam Speaker, there are many pieces of legislation which are basically tied up, moving like ring-a-ring-a roses between the ministry, AG's office, CPC, various agencies giving information. People believe that legislation is easy, but the truth of the matter, Madam Speaker, it moves around the mulberry bush before it actually comes to me at legislation committee in order for it to be approved and actually tabled in the House. The truth, Madam Speaker, is that I am working assiduously on these legislation, and all the ministries are being contacted almost on a weekly basis to see where the legislations are. And in this fiscal year, Madam Speaker, I have no doubt that we will have many, many more pieces of legislation coming to this Parliament. For the Ministry of Justice, we have this right of appeal, and as I indicated, the criminal records for expungement. And Madam Speaker, another area which will come to us here shortly is a mediation act, because a mediation act is absolutely important to operate not only commercially in the courts, but also in the communities, Madam Speaker. Far too many communities engage in conflicts which can be settled by restorative justice and or mediation. And I certainly hope, Madam Speaker, that when we roll out mediation and further roll out restorative justice, that persons within the communities or families or gangs can utilize them in order to settle their differences rather than to engage in abuses and violence. Madam Speaker, there's so much that could be dealt with, but as I indicated, we are doing yeoman service at the Ministry of Justice, ensuring that justice is delivered to the people of Jamaica. Not only do we have mobile buses, 3 of them now, that can go into communities. So, members of Parliament, if you know of a community that need a bus to visit so that your member can have face-to-face, we have these mobile buses, just book them. There's no doubt, Madam Speaker, that during the past year, because of the pandemic, it has been downsized. But the truth is that we can do it virtually so that members can come to the constituency office, and I hope all of you now have virtual in your constituency office, and talk with a lawyer who is in the mobile bus. And so this sort of discussion can take place virtually. So the individual who need legal advice in the community can make contact with the mobile bus, Madam Speaker, and an opportunity can be arranged for legal service to be done virtually, because we have the opportunity to deliver service across Jamaica without your constituents having to come to a lawyer or come to the Ministry of Justice, or even at this time for the bus to go there. But sure, we will also want eventually for the buses to come to your constituency office or come to various churches or communities in order to deliver justice services. Madam Speaker, let me conclude. The team at the Ministry of Justice has faithfully discharged their duties as the lead administrators of justice in Jamaica. I have been impressed by their agility and dedication as they responded to the demands of the pandemic and continued to deliver efficient customer service to justice stakeholders across the island. In particular, I take this opportunity to acknowledge the stellar work of the Ministry's Finance and Accounts Division as it relates to the settlement of judgment debts. In 2020-2021 fiscal year, $646 million was paid out in the settlement of 176 matters. We continue to execute due process for sums awarded in the course of justice, as this is a true indicator of a first-class justice system. Madam Speaker, my team and I have approached this new fiscal year with confidence and a deepened commitment to play our part to foster safe, cohesive and a just society. For now, we will continue to virtually provide those services and support that cannot be done in person. But, Madam Speaker, to quote local singer Coffee, when the quarantine thing done and everybody touch road, we are primed and ready to continue to take justice to the people, land we love. So, Madam Speaker, a lot has been accomplished. A lot more needs to be said. Very shortly, we will be handing over the Director of Public Prosecution Offices, which be a first-class facility, to the DPP. You may have seen some pictures, Madam Speaker, where I visited the DPP's office, and she's so pleased to say, when you're going to give everything to me. And I suspect, Madam Speaker, by July or August this year, we will have it all over to her. I want to thank you, members of Parliament, for your attention.